Hello, my fellow gnomes. How are you all doing? Welcome to episode 13 of the beginner scripting series. And it may be unlucky for some, but hopefully not for us, as today we're going to be finishing our series. Now, we're continuing pretty much where we left off here, but you might notice I've got these two parts down here. Team 2 spawn and Team 1 spawn, they're called. Nothing special about these parts, I've just made them semi-transparent, anchored them in position and made them uncollidable, okay? And what we're going to do with these two parts is we're going to use these to position the players of our team. Because currently, when you join the game, you only spawn in here, and normally, when you're playing a football game, each time someone scores, or the beginning or end of the game, everyone is reset back in their own half. So, the white team, or Gnome Rovers, we want them positioned here, in front of their own goal, facing the oppositions. So what we're going to do is we're going to head into our script, scroll up to the top, and start off with we're going to need to get the teams service, okay? So the teams service over here, we'll create a variable for that. Local teams equals game get service teams. And then all we're going to need to do is if we head down now, and we've got this reset ball function, and we're going to want to create a new function called reset teams. So local function, can't spell today, can I? Reset teams. And what we're going to do is we're going to create two more variables as well for the spawns. Almost forgot about that. So local elf spawn and local gnome spawn. Now, I'm not actually going to assign a value to each of these because I want to be able to change them from within this function here. But the reason I put it at the top is so I can access the value of these in all of these different functions. Whereas if I put it in here, then that would be local to this function. I won't be able to access it anywhere else. So what we're going to do is we're going to check if it's the first half. So we're going to need a variable for the half, local half, and I'm going to set a value for this. We'll set this to 1. So if it's the first half, which it is going to be at the start of the game, then we want the elf spawn to be equal to workspace.team1 spawn. And the gnome spawn is going to be the team 2 spawn. Now, if it's the second half, we actually want to swap the teams around so they're both facing the opposite way. So else, and then we'll say gnome spawn equals the team 1 spawn this time, and the elf spawn will equal the team 2 spawn. So I've just done these the opposite way around. So now I've figured out what my elf spawn and my gnome spawn is going to be. I can then begin putting the players' characters in those positions. So let's loop through the players. So for index player, in iPairs, and then we need to provide a table. So I'm going to go to the teams service, because I don't want to get every single player in the game. I just want to get the players for each specific team. So teams, and then I'm going to use the square brackets, quotation marks, and type out the name of my team. Now, the reason I'm using these square brackets and the quotation marks is because my team name, Elf City, has a space in it. So that's why I need to do it like that. If I didn't have a space, I could just do a dot, could just index it like that. But because there's a space, like so. So now we've got the team, and then we just need to call the function on that, get players. And then that will give us a table of all the players on that team. There we've got our for loop created. And then we need to get the character for that player. So we will do local character will equal the player dot character. But in case the character hasn't actually loaded in yet, what we can do is a little trick here. We can say or player dot character added, which is an event, and then we'll wait. So what's happening here is normally the character is just going to equal the player dot character. But if the character hasn't loaded in, then this is going to be equal to false. So because we've got this or here, it's going to say or. So if this is false, then it'll do this instead. In which case it's going to wait for the character to be added, wait for them, and then it'll be equal to that. So now we've got the character, we can position them. So character dot primary part, which is normally the humanoid root part. And then we're going to set the C frame. The C frame is a coordinated frame. It's like a combination of position, orientation. Don't worry about that too much for now, but it's a good way of positioning things in the game. So we will set that equal to the elf spawn.cframe. So if you remember this part over here, we want the player's character to be in the same position as this part. So once we've done that, we need to do the same thing for the Gnome Rovers team now. So I'm just going to select all of this, copy it, paste it down below, but I'll just need to change these details from Elf City to Gnome Rovers, and I'll change the Elf Spawn to the Gnome Spawn. So that's our reset teams function complete. All we need to do now is we need to actually call this function. So I want it to run when a player scores, because we want everyone to be reset back into their original positions. So let's find the score function. Here we are. So I'm just going to add in just before we reset the ball, we'll reset the teams. And then also I would like to reset it when the game starts. So down here in our for loop, how about just before the game starts, I can call a reset teams. And then when we get to half time, I'm going to want to reset the teams again. But if you remember, we need to change that half variable. Remember this one? Because we don't want them to be in the same position. We want them to be shooting the opposite direction this time, because that's how it works in football. So we're going to want to say half equals 2. So let's go and click play and see if that's working for us. And I don't think we'll get teleported initially because the loop has already started running before we've been added in. But we'll try and score for ourselves and see if our player gets reset. If we can get this ball in. There we go, and we've reset back into position, ready to start kicking off again. Super. And when we reach half time, we see now we've swapped over onto the other side and we're facing the opposite way now. Perfect. Of course, the only problem is we haven't actually reset our goals yet. So I want to be trying to score this way now. But if I do that, I'm going to do an own goal, which really isn't what I want. So we need to swap these two goals around. That's easy enough. The first thing I'm going to want to do is just swap the colors, okay? So down here, inside this if statement, I'm going to say goal2.brick color, and I'm going to set this to the color of the team's elf city's team color, okay? So teams, and I'm just going to do it in the square brackets and the quotation marks again. Elf City, make sure you spell it right, dot team color. And then I can do the same thing, I can copy and paste it below, but this time let's set goal1 equal to Gnome Rovers. So that will change the colors over at half time. And it's probably a good idea to make sure they're set up properly before the game starts as well. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. Paste it right before the for loop. And we want it to be the other way around that time. So goal1 and goal2 like so. So everything's going to be set up before the game starts. It's going to run the loop and it's going to switch them over at half time. So let's just click play and check the colors at least are swapping over. So with the colors all set up to start with, and we can score or something. There we go. And we can just wait for half time, really. And there we go. We can see the colours have now swapped over, which is good. So I've got my white goal behind me, and I've got the blue goal, the opponent's goal, in front of me. But of course, if I score a goal again, they're still set up the wrong way round. So I'm still scoring an own goal. So we're going to need to change our scoring script, aren't we? Let's head back into our script then. And we're going to want to go up to the ball.touch function. Because at the moment it just checks if the part's goal 1, and then it automatically gives a goal to the Gnome Rovers team. But our logic is a little bit more complicated now, because we need to check which half it is. So what we're going to do is, before this, add in a little space, and I'm going to put if half equals 1 and part equals goal 1. So we've got an and statement now, making our logic a little bit more complex. And I'm going to wrap this in a circular brackets. Oh, select it all and wrap it in circular brackets like this at each end. Right, so it's going to check this condition is true and this condition is true at the same time. But we also want to see, alternatively, if it's the second half, then it needs to be the other goal. So we'll say or, and we'll wrap this in brackets as well. So this is just a bit like in maths, you know, you wrap things into different brackets to signal the priority. So this is one lot of equation, and then we have the other equation over here on the other side. So this is if half equals 2 and the part equals goal 2, then it's a goal for the Gnome Rovers. And then we'll just copy this logic, but the other way around now for the Elf City team. So if it's the first half, they're going to want to be scoring in goal 2. And if it's the second half, they want to be scoring in goal 1. So make sure we make those changes there. So it's the opposite way round to the one above. And now if we hit play, it should be working for us. So we can score this way in the first half. There we go. And when we reach the second half, and now we can shoot the other way. And our goal is counted, and it's now 2-0. So we're not doing an own goal anymore. So all our logic for the goals is now perfectly set up. Awesome. There's only one final thing I'd like to add now, really. And that is to add some replayability. Because at the moment, it's going to reach 90 on the clock. And the game is kind of stopped. But I can still move the ball around. If I can get this in here. So I can still score goals, which is a bit weird. But the time has reached 90. So we really want the game to properly end at full time. And then we want a new game to start. So what we're going to do is, instead of just having this for loop, which just runs the one time, what we really want to do is we want to wrap that in a while true loop, okay? So while true do, and we want this loop to just keep running again and again and again. I'm going to put all of my looping logic inside of there, right? So all of this, I'll add in a comment, is the main game loop, okay? And then at the very start of the game, before we even try to reset the teams and the goals, I'm actually just going to set the ball to its correct position. So ball.position equals the original position. And then I'm going to make sure the ball is actually anchored, okay? So we don't want the ball to drop until the match is ready to start. And then I'm going to want to actually start the game, okay? So to start the game, we're going to want to, maybe we'll put in a little message. So we could say status.text equals starting soon. Then maybe we'll wait 5 seconds. And then we will actually set about starting the game. So we'll reset the teams. We'll reset the ball, which, if you remember, takes a wait time parameter. So we can give it a number, but really we can just use 0. We don't really want to wait anymore. And then we're also going to want to reset the scoreboard counters. So I'd say gnome score.text. We'll set that equal to 0. And the elf score.text. We'll set that equal to 0. So that's going to reset all of the scoreboard. Then the game is going to start. It's going to run through this loop. Fantastic. And then when it reaches 90, it's going to finish and it's going to come right back round to the beginning. So let's see if this is working for us. We'll hit play and the game starts. Fantastic. Drops from the sky. We can score goals and stuff. Amazing. Woo! 89, 90, and full time. And it says starting soon. I also got a typo in there. But there we go. And then the whole time board's reset. And we've got a brand new game now. And we can start to play again. Awesome. Let's just correct my typo. There we go. Starting soon. So that's fixed. And there's one more thing we probably want to check, which is that the game actually has enough players to start. Because we don't really want to be playing the game if there's only one person there. We want to check there's 2 players. So I'm going to go right up to the top of my script. I'm going to add a second service, players service this time. So game get service players. So this will enable me to check there's actually enough players in the game in total, rather than just how many there are on each team. So right down in our script, at the very beginning of the while true do loop, I'm going to check if hashtag players get players. And so what this does is it gets us a table of how many players, but then by using the hash key in front of it, I find out how many items there are in that table. So if there are less than 2 items or less than 2 players, then we don't want to start the game. So I'll just say status.text equals waiting for players. Then we'll wait 1 second, and then we're going to want to check again if there's any more players that have joined. Now we don't want to start all of the game, so I'm going to put all of this inside of the else. So if this is not true, in other words, so there are at least 2 players, then in that case we would want to run the game. So Control X, take all of that, and wrap it inside of this else statement. And it might be a good thing as well to check if there's actually enough players during each minute. Because if someone leaves in the middle of the game, you probably don't want the game to keep going. So right down here, before we check the minute and before we do anything else, let's just see. So we'll check again. We can copy the same thing. If players are less than 2, then, and in this case, I don't want to change a message or anything. I just want to exit this loop. So I'll just put the magic word in break. We see it highlights in red, so we know it's a special word. So it'll break out of this entire loop, and it'll go back to the loop it's in above, this big while loop. And it's going to go right to the top here, check if there's enough players. If there aren't, it'll just keep checking every second. So now, if I hit play, I'm not actually going to be able to start the game on my own. So we're just going to have the ball stuck up there in the air, and I'm not going to be able to do anything. This is a bit rubbish, isn't it? So if I actually want to test the game, I could invite some friends and we could do it on an actual Roblox server. But you can do this inside Studio as well. So if you don't know, you can head to the Test tab. And although you've got Play and you've got Play here and Run, you might have noticed there's this option over here in this box. It says Local Server. And there's a drop down below. It says, I've got it on 2 players. You can have as many players you like, but we'll just go for 2. And then I want you to click the Start button. And when you do that, you're going to have some different windows open up. And it allows you to recreate different Roblox players all within Studio. So it creates a server window first of all. So this is the server running in here. And then it's going to open up some more windows with each player. So I can see them loading in now. I've got 1 player here, and I've got my second player over here. So I can see both of them now through both of these windows. The game started, it's counting down. Let's see if we can get a goal for ourselves. Let that one in. There we go. 1-0 to Elf City. That's no good. Try and score the other way. And we've got a goal. So we can see all our logics running. We've swapped over at halftime. And there we go. There is our working football game. Now, if one of the players was to leave, if this guy leaves, then we're going to see, oh, the game ends now on the 64th minute. It just says, waiting for players. And I can actually join in with another player now. So if I put 1 now and I click start again, then I'm going to have a second player load in. There we go. Another player's arrived. And now you see the game is reset back for a new game. So they can start and kick off again. And they can have some more fun. So there we go. We'll clean up all of that. All the windows will disappear. And we're back inside Editing Studio. And there we have it. Our finished football game. I might as well make these fully transparent so they're not as ugly. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If you've made it all the way through this tutorial series, then a massive pat on the back to you. Well done. I hope you've really learned a lot from getting through this series, and you should be well on your way now to making some awesome little games of your own. If you are kind of wondering where next, then it might be a good idea just to choose something you want to try having a look at, try making it. Then the best way to find information, going to the Roblox Developer Hub. There's tons of articles on there, all on different methods and different aspects of the API. And you can also ask questions and find questions from other people in the Roblox Developer Forum. And of course, there's my own videos here on the GnomeCode channel, along with my Discord server, which is in the description of this video. So that's it from me, guys. Over to you and onwards to your scripting journey.